Warriors starting to put together one of those patented third quarters.
Steph was breathtaking in that order.
Doing my job.
Curry in his bag.
I know my energy will never die. I need my inner peace and peace of mind. I'm making history with all the guys. I am not satisfied with getting by. For the momentum.
The Warriors have responded.
The past don't matter. We just got to raise our level of intensity. You know, they raise theirs, we got to raise ours.
I know they feel it, they feel the momentum.
It's not getting any easier. It's only getting tougher. So
I know they feel it, they feel it.
got to take that up another couple notches.
And we're turning all the way up because the NBA Finals have shifted east. And Boston is booming as fans are ready to host their first NBA Finals game in over a decade. Bill Walton among those excited for tip because it's a pivotal Game 3 with the Warriors and Celtics knotted up at a game apiece. The C's have shown their bounce-back game is strong, almost as strong as Tatum's outfit.
Great.
I mean, that takes tuxedo, the Canadian tuxedo, to another level right there. But what would the Warriors have in store, you know, outside of the third quarter? Welcome into Hoop Streams, presented by Hotels.com, coming to you live on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and the ESPN app. I'm Cassidy Hubbarth, alongside my gal, Christine Williamson. And look who we're putting to work. You have gone through it this past week. CJ McCollum back on Hoop Streams. I'm not going to call it your debut because you've been on our show before, but never in this kind of capacity.
Yeah, I was here in, I think, 2019. We were in the playoffs. We would go on to get swept by the Warriors. But we did lead for more than we trailed, which doesn't really amount to anything. But there was someone here who said that I needed to try harder.
Oh, right, that's true.
Yes.
That is true. Before we get into that, Jennifer, I do want to get your thoughts on this series so far. We're here in Game 3. You've been in a lot of Game 3s, best of 5 series going forward. What is the mentality, especially when a series is tied to the game of team?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've talked about the statistics in the finals. The winner of Game 3 historically wins the finals 82% of the time. This is a pivotal game. It's not a must-win, but it's a must-win for the home team. Obviously, you want to maintain home court advantage. You're playing in front of your fans. You get to go up 2-1 with another home game and a chance at 3-1. A lot at stake here. I think Celtics win tonight. I think they lose Game 4.
Ooh.
I think the role players play much better. Marcus Smart, Al Horford, Derek White, and so on and so forth.
Already coming out with the predictions. We love that. I just love the drama. I'm glad that we're here because we know how Boston fans are and we know how the whole situation with Draymond went. So I've just been loving already hearing the fans. This is what I'm excited for, the drama of it.
They also have the number 18 out.
Oh, yeah.
They put it, made shirts in the stands. Just to let people know what their goal is in the end game. Look, a couple just quick notes. Andre Iguodala is a go for tonight. And the Warriors also were late warming up because the rim was a couple inches too short, so they had to fix that. Right now, just Klay Thompson and Steph, they're getting their shots in behind us. But you mentioned Jennifer, and back in 2019, so that brings us to a segment called I'm Trying, Jennifer.
It's over. A stunning sweep of the number 3 seed, the Portland Trailblazers.
CJ, do you have anything you'd like to say to Jennifer?
McCollum drive, pushback jumper. It's good. CJ McCollum with 37. The Trailblazers are headed to the Western Conference Finals.
Oh man, I appreciate her. She's probably a nice young lady.
I love that you said that. So, okay, this is what the segment is. As everybody saw, you replied to a plea to win a playoff game with I'm Trying, Jennifer. Do you want to say anything about that response?
I mean, it was authentic. It was timely. I was probably in New York City at the time, driving down, I'll probably call it 42nd Street, and it just felt authentic.
Is that where you get your tweets? What?
No, I mean, I was just enjoying my off season and reading through tweets. I was bored. You know, you get bored sometimes, and my genuine thought was like, I'm not trying to lose games. We're not trying to lose to the Warriors. We're not trying to lose to the Pelicans. Like, it just happens sometimes. Well, 5 times in a row for us, but that's life.
Okay. So for that reason, we decided to make this segment specifically for players who probably need to try a little bit harder, or people are trying to tell them to try a little bit harder. We're going to start with Marcus Smart, who in the last game, 25 minutes, 2 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. Okay, he did have a response to everybody's, I'll say shade.
Draymond in particular seemed to just set a certain tone with you guys. How do you respond to that without losing your composure?
I mean, you respond to fire with fire, right? I mean, we just got to, turn around and do the same thing. If he's going to come in here and try to be physical, this is our house and we got to protect it.
Okay, a little spicy. So what exactly does Marcus Smart need to do in Game 3 for the C's?
He must protect his house. No, I think it's really important that he comes out aggressive. Obviously, 2 points, 1 of 6, 5 turnovers isn't him. Characteristics that aren't normal. He only played 25 minutes because the game was out of hand. They were getting blown out. Starters basically rested the whole fourth. But I look for him to be more aggressive. I look for him to attack. I look for him to take advantage of playing at home. He understands that if he doesn't play well, the Celtics will struggle to win.
Right.
I mean, he's the heart and soul for sure. Another guy who's trying but just is not hitting is Klay Thompson. He had 15 and 11 respectively in games 1 and 2. For someone like him on this stage, that's considered a slump, and he actually had something interesting to say about how he's trying to get out of this slump.
I remember being in college, and when you go through a shooting slump, you just pull up, the video guys would pull up a great game of when everything seemed in unison, your body was working so well, and that ball was just flowing off your fingertips. And, gosh, I'll probably just YouTube Game 6 Klay.
And then he told our own Young Masuk that he actually YouTubed Game 6 Klay this week. So I asked you this, how often do you YouTube yourself?
Yeah, I mean, historically, I think it's in our human nature to want positive reinforcement, especially when you're struggling, but also when you're playing well. So you need to be able to watch and see some of the things you've accomplished, understanding that he's been in these moments. He had 32 points, called 11 days ago in a closeout game where he hits 8 threes. So we know what he's capable of. We know what he's good at. We know that he's going to make shots eventually, but that positive reinforcement is good for your mentality. And then you also need to see, like, hey, I've been in these moments. I've survived these moments, for good or for better or for worse, and this team needs me to play well.
I always watch stuff of myself whenever I'm having a little imposter syndrome too. So I feel Klay a little bit. I do want to say this. Before Game 1, I let everybody know that I am a Jordan Poole stan. I love him. And then he did what he did in Game 1. So Game 2, he came out a little bit stronger, you know what I'm saying? How do you think that he needs to come out in Game 3?
He's got to be aggressive, especially with how Klay has performed lately in terms of shooting. They need 2 of the 3 to play well. And by the 3, I mean Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole. 2 of them have to show up. We know Steph's going to show up. He always does. That's what he gets paid the big bucks for. But Poole has to be aggressive. He's got to be assertive. He's got to stop trying to get all the way to the basket. I think he's got to play in the mid-range. I think that'll be important, mid-range and threes. And then you look to play make. Like he can shoot off the bounce. He can shoot off the pick and roll. He's got a lot of creativity. He's got to use it.
Okay, so we know someone that shows up for Poole. It's Steph Curry, because he was absolutely loving that moment that we saw that half-court shot. He loved it. Look at his little face. Like a kid in a candy store. So it actually reminded us of something else. I don't know if you've seen this meme, this one. And we have a nice little Photoshop. I told you I was a Jordan Poole stan. I don't know why I'm in this. I don't know why they put me in this. But yeah, so
I think you put yourself in this because you made it clear.
I'm a stan. But do you think the pool party is happening tonight?
I think the pool party is going to happen in terms of his performance. He's going to play well. He's going to shoot well. He's going to be aggressive. But you hear Marcus Smart coming into the building. He's going to play well, and I think the Boston Celtics win tonight. There's no way you lose in front of a crowd like this. Do you hear this?
Yeah, they're already lit.
Games doesn't start for about 2 hours.
Right.
I'll call it 50 minutes.
No, this energy is going to be next level. They've been waiting 12 years to host an NBA Finals game. We saw Paul Pierce walk. He's wearing a Celtics leather jacket.
Oh, yeah, that looked good. That looked really good.
It's going to be a lot. But look, that's what we had to say about Jordan Poole. Let's take a listen to what Jordan Poole had to say in Game 2.
How we feeling? Great. I'm mic'd up. Y'all be smooth. Stay high. Take ball. Stay left. Go left. Hey, relax, bro. Relax. How you doing? Appreciate you, my guy. Good to see you.
So Jordan Poole, who made 5 3-pointers in Game 2, became the youngest player in finals history to make 5 3-pointers in a game. We'll see what he has in store tonight. And we're now joined alongside CJ McCollum, Brian Windhorst, the host of the Hoop Collective podcast, with new episodes before and after every single finals game. Brian?
Last one featuring the iconic Jimmy Goldstein, by the way.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. I mean, that man has lived a life and is still living a life. So let's dig a little bit more into this Game 3. And we talked earlier, Brian, about players who struggled. Let's talk about someone who's definitely not struggling, and that's Steph Curry. On the flip side, currently favored to win the Finals MVP. Yeah. CJ, first, how do you sum up how Steph has come out in these first 2 games?
He's come out very aggressive, very assertive, understanding what's at stake here. A chance to submit himself amongst more greatness. 6 straight trips to the final, well, 6 finals appearances in 8 years. This is a chance for his first Finals MVP. And this will be a big one after they failed to make the playoffs 2 straight years.
They have elected, CJ, to give him space. Right from the opening tip of Game 1, they have been in drop coverage, backing off with their big men after screens. When he's running around off the ball, they're switching, but when he's in out top especially.
Has that surprised you?
The switching off ball?
The drop coverage.
The drop. I mean,
drop coverage.
Giving him a lot of space.
It's beyond surprising considering he's the greatest shooter of all time. I think you have to be not just at the level, but you have to be touching him when he comes off ball screens. The bigs have to be up. Horford, Williams, sometimes you should trap, sometimes you should show. But the freedom that he's had is unacceptable, and I think that changes tonight.
Yeah, and so what would be interesting to see, now the Celtics switched on defense more than any other team in the league.
Right.
And they did it a little bit in Game 1, but they haven't done it that much since. So do they switch, or do they do the radical thing, which is trap, try to force the ball out of his hands? And then, and this has happened over the years to Golden State. They've seen it before, but Clay is struggling. Wiggins hasn't shot the ball great. Draymond isn't a threat on offense. What do they do?
We will see, because it's not like the game plan is very strange, because it's not like they didn't know that he was, to your point, the greatest shooter of all time.
I actually think, CJ, I think they've gotten lucky that Steph hasn't been hotter. I think he's played well.
Wow.
He is shooting 45%. That is good.
Yeah.
It's very good in the finals, especially for a high-volume player. Steph can shoot more. Steph can have a game where he can shoot 55, 60% from 3, and you will be knocked out in that case. I think they're fortunate that he hasn't gone crazy, and we'll see whether they give him a chance to do it again.
While Steph has been the star for the Warriors, turnovers have been the villain for the Celtics, specifically, in particular for Jason Tatum. 4 turnovers in Game 2 for Tatum. He's got 83 in total this postseason, and on pace to set the mark for postseason turnovers. CJ, what have you noticed about Tatum's turnover issues?
I think at times he's driving without a plan. You look right there, he's trying to draw a foul, similar to a la James Harden. But I think the biggest thing is figuring out what you want to accomplish when you're driving. Understanding the spacing. Jalen talked about it. The spacing hasn't been great. They've been driving on top of each other. He has to use the 3 ball. He has to get to the rim. And I think early on, establish that I'm here to be aggressive. And when they converge, have outlets to make the right passes. But later in the game is when I think he should go to his patented step back.
If CJ was playing against the Celtics tonight, I know exactly what he would be doing. As soon as Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum would try going to the basket, try to take it from them. Because once they get it up, they're bigger than you. They're bigger than most guards. And that's what they do. They have the Warriors, are like the Heat, are trying to take the ball away on the drive. And Tatum hasn't always gone strong. He's also, the Celtics have at times had bad spacing. So now all of a sudden there's a guy 8 feet from you and you try to throw a line drive at him and it gets intercepted or gets fumbled. They just haven't been clean. And when you look at the fact that they are 13-2, when they have 15 or fewer turnovers, they're 13-2 in the playoffs. 16 or more, they're 0-5. To me, that is the most important statistic tonight, and it's got to be their #1 focus.
And look, the Warriors are hoping to continue to frustrate the Celtics, led by the ultimate agitator in Draymond Green. Force meets force is how he described his skill set. CJ, what do you make of, specifically in Game 2, just the aggressiveness that Draymond came out with from the jump?
I thought it was important that he established his presence. He understood what was at stake here. Going down 0-2 at home is unacceptable for a championship caliber team, especially in the finals. He made a statement from the first possession guarding Al Horford. He was into him. He was aggressive. He forces a jump ball. He was chippy. He got that technical. I think the Warriors win 78% of their games when he gets a technical. He's had 25, 26 technicals in the playoffs, specifically understanding that when he gets a technical, they respond and he responds. Now he has to be careful towing the line tonight in Boston with the ruckus crowd.
I mean, how quick do you think the whistle's going to be on him?
I actually don't think it'll be quick. I think Scott Foster is the lead official tonight.
Yep.
The crew that he will operate. I mean, look, if Draymond goes across the line, they'll have to do something. But I don't think they want to give it to him. I don't think they want to give it to the crowd. I think they want to downplay that. It's not like the Celtics haven't seen physical defense. The Bucks were extremely physical with them. That series was a complete war from start to finish. The Heat were very strong with him. So it's not like they're unusual. They're not used to playing like this. I think the game will settle down, and I don't think it'll be a major factor of the physical play. But I could be wrong.
Do you think it will, physical
This
play?
game is going to be extremely physical tonight. I think Marcus Smart talked about it.
Yes.
You meet fire with fire. That doesn't necessarily mean the officials are going to control it, but they're going to be aggressive because this is a chance to go up 2-1 against one of the greatest teams of all time, one of the greatest franchises of all time, and you have some of the best fans of all time here waiting for number 18, yearning for number 18.
Yeah, he said fire with fire. Thank you to Brian. Make sure to check out the Who Collective podcast. And speaking of responses, did you guys see? You love Cedric Maxwell because he's saying a whole lot. And he had some more interesting words after game 2 about Draymond. He said this Draymond Green was doing in the 80s, he would have got knocked out. Well, here's how Draymond responded to those comments.
You know, one thing that baffles me about the 80s or the 90s or whatever you want to call when basketball was so much more physical is some of the guys that be talking weren't the guys that was punching people. You know, like they act like, you know, guys was just walking around the court like I'm hitting this guy in the nose. There were a few guys back then that would lay you out, that would knock you out, that would foul you and get thrown out the game. Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn. But everybody running around acting like they were that. Y'all were getting bullied. And so it baffles me when every guy, just because they played in the 80s, just because they played in the 90s, is like, man, if you played in our day, you get knocked out. Like, nah, not really, because it wouldn't be you.
So Draymond also dropped the line of be about what you talk about, and he certainly was about it in game 2. And we are now joined by the legend, the GOAT, Doris Burke, calling the game with Monica McNutt on sidelines on ESPN Radio. And guys, we just heard Draymond's response to Cedric Maxwell calling out Draymond. DB, what's your reaction to what Draymond had to say about the physicality and difference in eras?
I mean, listen, he's one of the best I've ever seen at sort of skirting that line. You know how we don't call it out of bounds if somebody's heel is above the line but they don't touch down?
Yep.
Now, he sometimes crosses it and doesn't matter, but this is who he is. It's who he's always been. And I'd make this point. All of that conversation, it was the defense played by he and the team that made the difference.
There's that. I mean, I think he is someone who owns his platform, both positively and negatively, and whether or not he should have gotten that second tech in game 2, I mean, we could discuss that as well, but he's not going to not talk, so let's have fun with it.
I mean, how much do you feel, Doris, that Draymond is getting under the skin of the Celtics, and do you think that's going to change in game 3?
He certainly got in their skin, a couple of guys. Obviously, Jaylen Brown with good reason. The kick to the face would have made me very angry.
Agreed.
I was surprised there wasn't a physical altercation
and
there.
the grab at the waistband.
Exactly right. But I don't think that's an issue tonight. One of the things about the Celtics that I've admired all year is Ime Udoka making his points on film and it getting corrected the next game.
The one thing I will add is I thought Ime had the perfect response in terms of how to deal with that.
Yeah.
If you are a guy that is inclined to confront that, then do so. If you are a guy that continues to play, then do so. Let's not get out of character. Now, having said that, there's this guy named Marcus Smart on their team who's willing to meet fire with a little fire should it go there, particularly here at home.
Were you a trash talker? Something
I do am getting that vibe. I'm getting those vibes.
You have to poke me. I would not initiate, but if you started it, I'm not going back down. I'm not going back down.
I'm not going to back down. So we've been talking earlier, obviously, about Steph Curry and how he's been dominating this series. The Celtics star in Jason Tatum, he hit a lot from 3. He's been struggling inside the 3-point line. Doris, what are your observations of how Tatum has went about this series so far and what he needs to do in Game 3 to show his dominance.
The single most important thing this guy can do to me tonight, because the 7 for 14 from 3, his jumper's flowing, Monica. What I want to see is him go to the rack with intention and not one time have any kind of physical or emotional reaction to a non-call. Play through it. I don't care what happens, but go with force and go with intention.
I have nothing to add to the GOAT, Doris Burke, but I'm going to ask you to repeat that so that I can give you some church amens, please.
Exactly.
I felt at times in my life I should be.
No, but you are seeing him getting distracted. Is that your point?
My point is that split second where he's reacting like this, he's putting his team at a deficit, and he's not winning any favors with the referees.
I will
stop it.
I will add this to something that you have observed since we were on the call for Eastern Conference Finals. It is already a part of his nature to whine a little bit. And so you compound it with the fact that now you have an agitator like Draymond who is now getting the best of you. It is taking even more time and energy away from his game.
She said whine, I didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
I tried to put it nicely.
Speaking of Draymond, we know he likes to talk, and so does Grant Williams. And before the finals, Grant talked about his admiration for Draymond, which then turned into jawing in Game 2. And then Draymond was asked about it. Take a listen to this.
I'm assuming you're talking Grant Williams. When you see that, when you see a guy say, man, I grew up watching him, you appreciate it. Because, you know, that's why you work. You work to create a path for the next young guy. Like, my goal when I came in here was to create a path for Grant Williams. And so to hear him say that, it's an honor. Like, and so I don't take that for granted one bit. When a guy comes and starts, when you say that and then you start talking junk to me, then yes, I'm going to say something about that, of course.
He really knows how to own this part, Monica.
Absolutely. So funny enough, I asked Steve Kerr about the comparison between the two of them before Game 1, and his first reaction without missing a beat cast, they both talk a lot. And so you got to see a little bit of that. But I was actually texting with Grant's brother a bit earlier today. In February 2021, these two actually exchanged jerseys, and the jersey is framed at Grant's house because he has indeed admired Draymond for such a long time. And guys, Doris, you remember the point where Draymond, maybe it was after their second title, and part of the conversation was finding the next Draymond Green in the draft in terms of an undersized guy with tremendous versatility. So listen, those two are going to continue talking. It is a great competitor sportsmanship, we'll call it, between the two of them, because I think they know what line not to cross.
I love it. Draymond has paved the path. There was a time where somebody with his frame and body type couldn't play. Right. Look what he's done. You know, he's kind of made it possible for the Grant Williams.
Yeah, as Steph is kind of, you know, inspiring some of the smaller guards, Draymond is inspiring some of the talkative guys.
There it is.
And speaking of Grant Williams liking to talk, I sat down with him and we talked about his true rival in Deuce Tatum.
When your entire team walk up to you and say, let it fly. For me, it was just like, all right, might as well take advantage. So
Williams, three-pointer. Inside, Williams for the flush. Grant Williams is having the game of his life.
Last summer, you changed your body and your jump shot. How have those changes impacted how this season has gone for you?
Yeah, for me, I feel like the biggest change was the body. Making sure that not only I was in the best playing shape that I could be in, because the year prior I went through great moments where my body felt great and times where I was kind of overweight. So in terms of shooting, it was just about consistency. Like, it was one of those things where I'd proven that I can shoot it. So now it's just a matter of making sure that I was a 40+% three-point shooter and bring that value to the team.
I don't think you could have proved it any more than in Game 7 versus the Bucks. Was that the best game you've ever played in your life?
Honestly, I wouldn't even say it was my best game, just because like, when I look at it, I went 7 for 18. If you asked me prior to that game if I got 18 open threes or 18 threes to shoot, how many would I make? I'd probably say 10, 11. So I was actually mad at myself after. But it was a great moment. You know, it was one of those things where it's on the biggest stage playing against a team like that.
How many texts did you have after that game?
Let's just say I put my phone down.
Okay. Okay.
In the biggest game of his career with a magical performance, 25 points.
The relationship between you and Ime is interesting. Other than coach and player, it feels like older brother, little brother, tough love. How would you describe, what that relationship is?
I feel like we've gotten everything from older brother, little brother, father, son, like all that stuff. It's really fun to have a guy like that where you can have a great relationship, but also he critiques you and holds you to a higher standard.
How is the nickname of Batman flourishing among the team? Is it accepted yet?
No, JT actually brought that up today. He said, because Deuce walked to the plane with a Batman umbrella today. And I was like, oh, I should have got him a Robin one. So next, we have a little, now people are going to think we're beefing rather than he's trying to take my nickname. He was like, well, Deuce is Batman. You'll be his Robin. That was the back and forth JT and I had. But everybody else they're embracing it. They give me the mayor, they give me the general, Batman, or even just Big Head,
Big Head's a different nickname altogether.
That's a whole different nickname, but hey, it works out.
So you mentioned the Deuce diss. You guys are cool now, or?
Oh yeah, that's my man's. We have our moments similar to me and Ime. It's one of those things where we know each other too well. So it's every now and again you gotta finesse it.
And 4-year-olds, they speak their mind.
They speak their mind every single time.
Thank you so much for joining us on Hoop Streams.
Thanks for having me.
Telling you, toddlers are ruthless. You're watching Hoop Streams presented by Hotels.com, and of course the NBA is 24/7, 365 kind of sports. So let's catch you up on what you may have missed with news and notes from around the league outside of the NBA Finals. Back with Monica and CJ, and some big news that crossed with Quinn Snyder stepping down from the Utah Jazz head coaching position. Donovan Mitchell, he signed a long-term deal last season, and now there's a lot of questions about his future in Utah. Just a few parallels, CJ, with your former team here with, longtime Blazers coach Terry Stotts parting ways with the Blazers a year after Dame signed his extension. So based off your experience, I don't want to get you in any trouble, and you're the president of the Players Association, so you know the rules, but I'm just saying, how do you see things playing out for the Jazz and Mitchell based on your experience back in Portland?
Twofold. Based on his standing within the organization, obviously being the highest paid player on the team, being the face of the franchise, I'm sure Quinn reached out to him and probably let him know that he was going to be stepping down. This is a decision that Quinn made based on the fact that he felt like the franchise was stagnant. He felt like they needed a new voice. These aren't my words. These are his words in the statement he released. So I think he came to terms with the fact that he felt like he had done all he could do with that roster, that franchise. I think Donovan has a lot of decisions to make, and he will based on his family, based on his needs, based on his wants. But I think right now, based on that roster, they have a lot of pieces. Right? Him and the big fella definitely play well together in terms of offense versus
when they play together.
Yes, when they play together.
Each other.
I'm saying they've been able to make the playoffs consistently, which is hard to do in this league. Obviously, everybody wants to win a championship, but I think they have to figure out what the supporting cast looks like. They have to figure out, first of all, what head coach they're going to hire to replace Quinn, who was a very good coach in his own regard. But I think you use the Blazers as a parallel. Obviously, we had a similar situation in which Dame gets an extension, I get an extension, Terry gets fired shortly after that. We bring in Chauncey, and the rest is history, as we say. I'm out of there. But I think they're heading for change. I just don't know what that will look like. Obviously, it started with the big domino being the head coach.
I don't have astute basketball things to add, but I will point out one of my roles that helps make up my salary is as a Knicks studio analyst.
Yes.
And I will just remind folks that Knicks fans and the Knicks organization are very interested in how this unfolds. That's all I got.
Ding dong, I'm sure.
I can't comment on any of those things.
Hey, I mean, Quinn needs some rest, and he still has a year left on his contract. The Knicks' job would be hard.
I don't know the coach so much, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, let's move on. The Athletic, they had an article this week about the Pistons' pursuit of DeAndre Ayton, adding that it was more likely than not that Ayton will be on a new team next season. Monica, is Ayton on the Suns next year or somewhere else?
This one's tough, Cass. All season long I was rolling with the Suns. I was very impressed by what the Mavs were able to pull off. I thought that there was something cool about DeAndre not pushing it last year in terms of trying to go after big-time money. And I think he's earned a position on this Suns roster, but the numbers got to work. I really like Troy Weaver with the Pistons. I don't know how much DeAndre's interested in a position where he has an opportunity to compete for a title now versus getting his bag. And CJ, you can attest to those kind of numbers. I don't know. What's his priority?
He's getting the bag regardless. He's either getting the bag to stay or he's getting the bag to leave. But I think it more so comes down to his skill set, right? He's a pick and pop big guy that can knock down shots from 15 feet. He can stretch out to 3. He has a mid-post game, if you will, in terms of the face-up jab jumpers. But I think it's more so about his feelings. Was he happy with how the season ended? I'm sure nobody was happy with how the season ended. They had championship expectations, end up losing to Game 7. But I think it comes down to those things. The money is always going to come. When you're a great player, the money always comes. It's just a matter of where.
Yeah. Well, we found out who is the new head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, Darvin Ham. And look, longtime assistant, finally getting the head coaching job. He had his press conference. Russell Westbrook was in attendance. A lot of love across the league for Ham. What do players like about him, CJ?
They love his toughness, they love his tenacity, but they love his background, right? The type of player he was while he was in the league. Very competitive, a fighter, if you will. He talked about the importance of defense. He talked about the importance of accountability. He talked about the importance of sacrifice. These were buzzwords that he used throughout the press conference, which are important and indicative of how he's going to approach Russell Westbrook, how he's going to approach LeBron, as well as AD. If they're healthy, they got a chance to win games, obviously, but I think it's more so about how that cohesiveness will work. They were a bottom 7 defensive team, and that's not going to work. That's not going to cut it. So I think he's focused on the defensive end, and then he'll figure out the spacing later. But the respect is there from not just his team, but from everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to some folks I know in that Buck staff. They certainly echo those sentiments. They pointed to a game, I can't remember when, but they played Brooklyn, and he was in as the interim head coach because Coach Bud was in protocols, and just how excited the team was to play for him and to show up for him, to represent him. Listen, LeBron James is a giant in our league, and so to be a guy that is respected alongside him, that's a big deal. And of course, I just hope that that cohesion remains because we know LeBron's voice carries a lot of weight.
Speaking of, LeBron tweeted about jumping on someone's podcast soon. You have a podcast. I mean, maybe he's talking to you. But what is it like? You know, you're courtside with us. Do current players just have FOMO this time of year?
Absolutely. Honestly, I almost declined the invitation to come to the finals because I haven't been able to play in it yet, and I'm jealous. And to see this atmosphere, to see the preparation, the media, the attention, we yearn for this. We play the game for this. The regular season is great, but this is what we play for, that trophy, and to be so close to it and not be able to suit up, it's killing me softly.
It's a manifestation, though, like all of the good things.
Yeah, the FOMO is beyond real. Like, look at this crowd. Like, to come in here and to be able to get a win on the road and to be able to blow kisses to people in the stand. To the angry fans.
Oh, okay. Oh, because Jason Tatum.
And my wife.
Send them home.
Well, we're happy you're here with us.
We are happy you're here.
Maybe next year. That Pelicans team, y'all are dangerous. I love watching you guys. All right, so one big reason for the Celtics are still playing in this game is their bounce back ability, because Boston is 6-0 following a loss since the postseason play began. Let's just take a look at how resilient this Celtics team has been in these playoffs.
That is going to be some series. Boston and Milwaukee.
They played harder than us. They were better.
I watched film and adjusted the game too.
This one's in the books.
We talked about getting caught off guard a little bit and getting punched in the mouth last game.
Our identity is somebody is out, next man up.
The game is over.
We had a lot of great looks tonight that didn't go down.
We playing against the defending champ. I thought we did okay job. We could do better.
The Celtics win game 4.
It's hard. Playoffs is hard. We didn't quit. We just kept pushing.
The series all tied at 2 apiece.
We just fell apart execution-wise down the stretch, and it hurt us.
But, it's 3-2, and it's the first of 4.
The Celtics look to force a game 7.
I was excited to play today. Game 6, we were upbeat. We weren't defeated. We still had an opportunity to save our season.
Eastern Conference Finals between the Celtics and the Heat.
They outplayed us tonight, especially in that third quarter.
That's on me. I had 6-7 turnovers.
Eastern Conference Finals all tied up at 1 apiece.
For us, it was just important to come out and get this win at all costs.
I think our guys have bounced back really well all year.
The Miami Heat with the definition of a hard-fought win.
We need to play with some heart, some aggression.
Everything on the line, I just got to play better.
Come back next game on our home floor and try to get a win.
Boston Celtics, a wire-to-wire victory in game 4.
I knew that how important this game was, and everybody just had to come out with a different sense of urgency.
Game 6.
A couple of us have been in this situation before, so we know what's at stake.
Game 7.
Today was the biggest test of our careers. We got it done.
You're watching Hoop Streams presented by Hotels.com as we crunch some numbers and see how great the Celtics have responded to adversity. Like we said, 6-0 following a loss in these playoffs. Let's take a look at the perfect matchup in today's game, brought to you by Hotels.com. And CJ, so far in this series, it has been Warriors, and they have just been dominant in the third quarters. That has been the perfect matchup. We talked a little bit about this in game one because they had an amazing third quarter for letting it go, and then in game two, they were lights out, and the Celtics never got close. So CJ, what is it about this team that gets them going coming out of the break?
I think it's the experience. It's Curry's ability to draw up the right X's and O's and make adjustments. The game is all about adjustments, and I think the Warriors respond well coming out of halftime. They play with more of a sense of urgency. They play more aggressively, and they use Steph Curry more, which is always helpful.
I mean, I know I don't have to keep bringing up about how you guys faced them in the playoffs. Like, what did the tape tell you? Because it was no surprise that third quarters and what they master.
Yeah, the tape told us that they make adjustments well. They understand the moment. They have the experience. Obviously, it all started in, 2014, 2015, and they built on that each year. They have the right to make timely shots, whether that's Iguodala, whether that's Draymond Green, whether that's Steph Curry or Klay Thompson. Now they got Jordan Poole. It's a pool party.
Yeah.
They have a lot of pieces, a lot of guys to understand the moment, and I think defensively, the turnovers that they force lead to easy baskets on offense. And we lost a lot of games in that third quarter historically against them. But the fourth quarter, when the pressure mattered most, they execute better in crunch time.
And we've seen, obviously, two different stories coming out of the third quarter. Yes, both games 1 and 2, Golden State, as you see here, has dominated Boston 73-38 in third quarters in this series. But in game 1, we saw the Celtics flip the script on them. And then game 2, they couldn't respond. So it'd be interesting to see what happens tonight. Let's talk about what the Celtics have to do to, in fact, stop the bleeding, because they've been outscored by double digits, as I pointed out, consecutive games. They're also a minus 37 in the third versus a positive point differential in all other quarters this postseason. So breaking it down, what adjustments coming off of what happened in game 2 the Celtics specifically need to make to avoid that same fate?
Historically, everyone has talked about how the Celtics turnovers are indicative of wins and losses.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've been losing the third quarter. The Warriors have won the third quarter for over a decade, basically. So if you take care of the ball, you limit their opportunities to score easily in transition, you give yourself more opportunities for quality looks in the half court, and you make the game easier for everyone. So I think it starts with the turnovers, and then you have to be patient. You have to take and make good shots. Cut out the contested twos early, right? Threes and layup. Late in the game in the fourth quarter, that's when you got to get into your bag, create an isolation situation, and use the step backs.
So basically you say stop turning the ball over. How many times can we hear we say that? We almost got hit by the basketball because there was a flipping going on behind us.
The athletic dunk off trampolines.
We had to move over. And we're actually going to bring in our girl, Christine, who's celebrating a holiday today, right, Christine?
I am. I'm very happy that we're all together today because it is National Best Friends Day.
Aww.
I know we just met, CJ, but it's National Best Friends Day, so
Yeah,
that's why we're all together. We're already besties. So for that reason, we decided to run through some duos and decide if these guys are best friends, co-workers, or just friends.
Besties.
Okay?
Just friends.
Yeah, for National
co-workers.
Best Friends Day.
Co-workers is like, you may be cool with your co-worker.
Right.
Yeah, but you don't really mess with them like that.
But actually,
not inviting them.
Yeah, they're not in your wedding, right? That's what
They're
best
not
friends
invited
are
to the wedding.
No, yes, that's
rude.
that point.
That's rude. That's rude.
That's
Okay.
the level of distinction.
So our first, this is actually a trio. Steph, Draymond, and Klay. Okay, they've won a few rings together. Are these guys best friends, co-workers, besties, co-workers, or just friends?
These are besties to friends. These are type of people that are inviting each other to weddings. I'm not necessarily sure they would be in the wedding, but they will have a nice seat at the table. They will get the A+ drinks.
That sounds like friends.
Nah, these are besties. They've been through it.
I agree.
It's like you've been together for so long. You've been ups and downs. You've had it out with each other. Besties is defined by, like, if you can be real with your friend, that means that you're a bestie.
I would say the Splash Brothers are surely, and then.
Are we talking about Jordan Poole and that splash, or?
No.
The original, the OG Splash Brothers.
I was like, oh wait.
He's a good brother.
Okay. I said that they're friends because I agree. Like, I feel like they're not going to be in each other's weddings, but they'll be invited to the weddings.
They get along extremely well. They love each other. They won championships, sweat, blood, and tears. But you ever get the feeling you've been around somebody for so long that you don't want to be around them all the time?
I'm not saying I like to be around my besties all the time, but like they're ride or die. I've been through some stuff.
Right.
They know some stuff about me. That's how that defines it.
All right, let's go to the Jays. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, the Celtics duo, okay?
I would say they're friends right now. They're still in the early phase of figuring each other out, figuring out how to coexist in the same spaces. This was a step in the right direction, a huge step, if you will, in terms of their greatness being shared together, being able to coexist. They got some more time together, right? They're only under 25. They will become what the Splash Brothers are in terms of...
Which is besties? Okay. Cass?
Co-workers.
What?
Wow.
They're co-workers. I'm not saying that they don't get along. They work well together. They got to go through, the finals will get them to the next level of friendship.
So when practice is over, they don't talk to each other again until the next day.
See, yeah, no, I don't,
yeah.
There's no way. Okay, so I'm going to say besties. Just because I feel like they got through some things together in order to get to this point.
Okay.
You can only be really good friends if you're really riding together to get all the way to the finals. That's just my opinion. Okay, next we got, this is my favorite, Deuce and Grant Williams. Okay, so there's a little situation that happened in the locker room. You remember that? Deuce did not dap Grant up. He walked away along with his father. So are they co-workers? Well, they're not co-workers, but are they that level? What are they at?
Deuce just took his seat on the courtside right next to Nia Long. It's celebrity row right there.
Oh, we love that. Yes, yes.
Shout out to Ime.
He's living his life. He's living his life.
And the Celtics are about to run onto the court. I say frenemies.
Right.
They tolerate each other.
I say associates. I don't even know if they're friends at this point. It's still early. Deuce is figuring out, like, do I really like him?
Right, I agree with that. I think they're like frenemies. I think they know of each other, but they don't mess with each other. That's where I'm at.
Okay.
CJ, we're so happy that you're part of the ESPN family. Okay. You've been killing it. For that reason, we want to humble you a little bit.
Yeah.
And run you through some mean tweets, because people are nice on the internet, as we already know. All right, so let's see the first tweet.
From 31 at BP4_. Bruh, y'all just realizing why they traded CJ, huh? Boy, please stop shooting and go to the rim and not no dumbass floaters. Play above the rim and attack it. Damn.
I like the emphasis on this.
I'm not as athletic as you would like me to be. I will work on my athleticism. I will do calf raises, and
I guarantee you he's more athletic than you, BP4.
I'm gonna make those dumbass floaters next season.
Keep shooting those floaters.
What's the next one? Let's see.
At J.A. Romney, the CJ McCollum trade looking absolutely disastrous. We did make the playoffs, so that was
that was April 16th.
Oh my goodness.
April 16th at 12:51 a.m.
He was up late. Not even drunk.
I would implore you to order some McCollum Harris 91.
Wine connoisseur. It helps cut the tension. What's the last one?
CJ McCollum isn't that good. He's an undersized two-guard who plays zero defense. Yeah, he can score, but a lot of players can score. He's way overpaid, too.
Ooh.
Max money, $30 million a year.
Talking about your pocket.
Actually, more than 30. But I am not a max player. I am close to the max, and I will work on the rest of my game, and I will do defensive slides this summer.
Wow.
I would just say, as the Celtics come onto the court, this is also a round of applause for you, CJ. You're out here. You have a new baby at home, the president of the Players Association. You led those Pelicans against a feisty Sun squad.
Just so you guys know, Cass has been wanting to be very nice to CJ after seeing all those mean tweets the whole entire time. We don't love the hate. We don't love the hate.
Yes, exactly. I will say there's not much mean tweets about Steph Curry right now because he's been killing it. And he actually talked about how he feels like he's in his prime with our Malika Andrews. Take a listen.
I've always had an appreciation and sense of gratitude for all your accomplishments in this league because you understand how hard it is to win. And I don't want to take anything for granted in terms of where I'm at in my career, 13 years in, 34, you don't know how many more opportunities you'll get to, one, be on the stage, but B, I feel like I'm in my prime to be able to take advantage of those opportunities.
It's interesting you said that now is your prime because there are some who might say, well, what about the back-to-back MVPs? What makes this different? Why do you say that now?
Just the way I feel, the ability to match the progression, I think, in terms of my skill set and all that with just the mental awareness and composure of all the different experiences that I've had.
Draymond, when he was sitting in that chair just a couple of days ago, he said that he knew that in his estimation, he was playing with one of the greatest to ever play the game in 2017, 2018, but then in his words, in 2020, that's when you became unstoppable. What do you think of that timeline that he laid out?
He's my ultimate defender. From the time this run started, 14, 15, to now, I play the same way, still have the same joy, the same flair for the game, but there's just a different sense of peace when it comes to knowing what I can do out there, and it comes with a different demeanor and a different confidence, and I feel like I'm still getting better. So you gotta almost like trick yourself into thinking that you can keep doing this year after year after year.
It's time now for the main attractions. You're watching Hoop Streams presented by Hotels.com. Getting ready for Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Big Perk with us now, joining me and CJ.
I'm trying not to hog the space up.
No. You're all
the
good.
The camera lens only could go so far. Hell, I'm half of it.
This is your first time working together. You're a colleague here.
Yeah.
Perk, new media. That's what this
Carry on.
No, you know what I'm saying? I would say me and CJ kind of the old school vets in the media because he been doing it.
I know for a while.
Got old souls. I ain't really down with the new media. I'm kind of still with the old law.
Oh, put it on record. Put it on record. Well, how about the new media and Draymond Green? Not to start off with things petty, but did you see this? Let's get into this. So Draymond moved into 10th place on the NBA Finals all-time assist leaderboard, and he brought your name into the discussion, Perk. He said not bad for a guy who can't pass in response to him on the assist list. And then nobody says you can't pass. They say you can't score, some random person. And Draymond said, Kendrick Perkins said he can make the pass that I make. Your response?
Yeah, well, next time, first time, at me, okay? At me and let me know that you're talking about, because I can't see that. That's the first thing. Second thing, I did respond. I posted a clip yesterday and showed him those same passes he making. I was making those passes. It's on my social media right now, Cass. I got to stay petty so I won't have to get petty.
There you go. So no beef, though.
I ain't never beefing. I'm going to sleep every night with the AC on 60 and the fan blowing.
60?
Yeah. Woo. I'm a big dude, see. I got to sleep with a coat.
So we talked earlier, speaking of Draymond, how do you think he's going to come out tonight?
You know what? To be honest, I think Draymond is the guy that actually embraced this type of atmosphere. You got certain guys who love to go on the road and they feed off this type of energy. I played with one, and Kevin Garnett, he loved that type of energy. Paul Pierce loved that type of energy. Russell Westbrook loved that type of energy. Draymond is one of those guys. I'm not saying he's going to come out here and put up 20, but I do see him being the same Draymond that he be in Golden State. He's going to be out here on the floor tonight.
Who is a player that comes to mind who feeds off the energy the most across the league?
In this series?
That you've had in the league?
I would say Kevin Durant, LeBron James. I'm thinking about those types of players, Damian Lillard. Historically, the greatest players rise to the occasion on these nights because their team needs them to. Draymond will respond tonight. Steph Curry will respond tonight. When they go back on the road, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they will respond because they have to, and their team depends on that.
Well, speaking of Steph Curry, it's never too early to talk Finals MVP, and the latest rankings from the NBA, Steph is number 1, Jordan Poole at number 2, Kevon Looney at 3, Jason Tatum at 4, and Jaylen Brown at 5. Who are your top 5 Finals MVP rankings right now?
You know what? I would have to go Steph at number 1. I would have to go Jaylen Brown at number 2. And then I probably would have to go Tatum at number 3. Jordan Poole is not in that list yet. I don't think he's, like, in these 2 games.
I didn't even think he had a bounce-back game in game 2.
No, everybody kept saying that, but people didn't realize the adjustments that Steve Kerr made in that second half was he went with Gary Payton II and Otto Porter Jr. before he came back with Jordan Poole. They started that run with Jordan Poole on the bench. He just came off and had the half-court shot, and they went up 20. So he was able to get his shine on, but they already had the lead. I don't know who I'm putting at 4 or 5, but the top 3 is Steph, Tatum, and Brown.
What do you think?
Steph is the clear favorite, obviously averaging over 30 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He's balling. He's doing what he's supposed to do. I would go Brown, too. Jaylen Brown helped them win Game 1. He scored or assisted on, I think, 15 or 16 straight baskets, brought him back in the fourth quarter. Tatum third. Obviously, he's not shooting well. 13 assists in game 1. He still had 28 in game 2, and I think tonight is the night he puts together a full game. Points, rebounds, assists, and a win.
I mean, it's a tied series. To have Poole and Looney ahead of Tatum and Brown is flagrant to me, but I'll move on.
It is, though. Real talk.
I do want to move on to players who are struggling in Clay and Marcus Smart. And who do you think is more important to their team's overall success? Marcus Smart for the Celtics or Klay Thompson for the Warriors?
In my opinion, I think Marcus Smart is the biggest X factor in this series, period. If he don't get it together defensively, I think because, you know, when you think about the Steve Kerr era, he has had the most success for his guarding Steph Curry. I haven't seen that yet in this series. So when he turns it on, if he turns it on and play like the Marcus Smart we know, this series could be over way quicker than 7 games. I got it going 7, but he's just that big of an X factor.
Who do you think?
I think Smart's more important, as he said before. Klay Thompson's obviously great, Hall of Famer, has done things the right way for a long time. But the Warriors have another guy who can score in Jordan Poole. Smart's defense, as Perk said before, is extremely important, but also his aggressiveness on offense and ability to take care of the ball. He was 1 for 6. He had 5 turnovers in game 2. He's got to be more efficient, he's got to be more effective, and he's got to be more aggressive on both offense and defense.
Cassidy, CJ, I want to ask y'all something. When we look at Klay Thompson and we look at Jordan Poole, both of those guys somewhat struggling thus far, we have to credit the Celtics defense, right? Because usually when you face a team, you only really have maybe 1 or 2 elite perimeter defenders. It's not the case when it comes to the Boston Celtics. So I hear a lot of people saying, oh, Klay is going to turn it on. And I'm saying to myself, is the personnel going to change for the Celtics? Because Jaylen Brown's still going to be here.
I think what people are saying is, obviously the Celtics are a great defensive team. They switch a lot. They're athletic, they're long, they're lanky, but Klay is missing layups and he's missing open threes, which is uncharacteristic. They're forcing him in, obviously, in front of the three-point line, making him play in the yard, which is hurting him. But if he's more effective, more aggressive, and more efficient going forward, Celtics have a chance of losing.
Guys,
man.
Is it getting hot in here? Because
it's getting chilly in here with all this damn ice on.
We're waiting on something because I think it's getting hot in here.
It ain't getting hot. It's getting chilly in here with all this damn ice on.
Because we have the one, the only, Nelly joining the set. CJ McCollum, Kendrick Perkins. I'm Cassidy Hubbarth. Thank you so much for joining us. You have the Celtics green on. Is that who you're going for tonight?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Definitely. Rooting for my home team. I'm saying my man Jason. So, you know, hopefully we can bring this one home.
Wait, but like St. Louis is what you rep. So could you explain?
His mom, shout out to you, City. We in the building, and you know we just showing support.
I mean, so what are your thoughts on what happened in Game 2?
I mean, you know, it's going to be a hard-fought series. I feel. I just, you know, I think if they calm down a little bit, take their time. I know he's very excited. You know, it's his first finals. I mean, what can you say? You know, he hasn't been in this thing a long time yet, so all this is new to him. And I think the energy level, if you just bring it down, he'll be all right.
Hey, I want to ask you a question, Nelly, legend. Listen, Jason Tatum, right, a guy that looks up to you. How does that make you feel as far as being a big brother / OG to a young superstar in the league that value you, that look up to you? I want to know what that means to you.
I mean, again, like I said, like coming from St. Louis, coming from a place like St. Louis, we don't have a lot of people that get a chance to make it on either one of these levels. So, I love it, man. I just try to inspire. He's inspiring me right now. Like I said again, I'm his biggest fan right now.
Well, enjoy the game, and I hope you, you know, I was going to say I hope you see a Celtics win, but that wasn't going where I wanted it to go. So thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to also get a Nelly song lyric in there, but I'm not good with song lyrics. Are you good with song lyrics?
I don't know, but he came in here. You talking about getting
so icy. So icy.
Thank you so much.
Shining on him.
Guys, quickly, CJ already picked the Celtics to win off the top of the show. Who you going with?
I'm going with the Celtics, too. I'm a little nervous. I thought the Celtics was going to win in great fashion on Game 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals, but they didn't. But I think they're going to bounce back tonight. I think they're going to win their first finals game at home.
And go up 2-1. So we will see Game 3 coming your way on ABC. You can also watch it on the ESPN app by just logging on to your cable providers now. CJ McCollum, how about that? Keep on working. Thank you so much.
You make me so proud.
It's easy for you. We're back Friday live from Boston for Game 4. Enjoy the game on ABC or the ESPN app. Thanks for watching Hoop Streams presented by Hotels.com.